Every morning, nearly half the global population wakes up and uses the exact same lineup of consumer products. But in India, this massive daily routine, from the soap you lather with in the shower to the paste you use to brush your teeth, is almost entirely monopolized by a single entity. Check the back of those bottles and wrappers, and you'll find one name: Hindustan Unilever Limited. It's a name that projects a deeply patriotic image, suggesting a company born and bred on Indian soil to serve Indian homes. Look at the corporate hierarchy tree, however, and the image shifts. Trace the ownership of Hindustan Unilever Limited straight up, and you hit its parent entity, Unilever plc, a massive multinational conglomerate based in the UK. A century of extreme anti-foreign sentiment should have driven this colonial-era British soap importer out of the market. Instead, it successfully disguised itself as India's most ubiquitous homegrown brand. The story begins in 1888, when the British Lever brothers arrived at the Kolkata port. They found immediate success importing crates of Sunlight and Lux soaps to a brand new market. But that success hit a wall with Mahatma Gandhi and the rise of the Swadeshi movement. As nationwide grassroots boycotts of British goods took hold, Unilever's sales plummeted. Indian consumers actively chose lower-quality, locally made alternatives over imported foreign luxury. To survive, Unilever executed a pivot in 1934. They opened their first soap factory in Mumbai, shifting their entire Indian operation from a foreign importer to a domestic manufacturer. By localizing their production, they stepped aside expensive import costs and successfully planted the first seed of a local identity to neutralize the nationalistic boycotts. After independence in 1947, the new Indian government aggressively targeted foreign-owned businesses with strict regulations and heavy oversight. To shed its colonial reputation, the company underwent a cosmetic restructuring. They merged operations to become Hindustan Lever, handed 10% of their equity to Indian citizens, and hired their first Indian director, Prakash Tandon. The real test arrived in the 1970s. The government imposed severe price controls and passed a law requiring foreign companies to surrender majority ownership to Indians. The environment became so hostile that multinational giants like Coca-Cola and Shell abandoned the country entirely. Hindustan Lever managed to stay by negotiating a specific loophole to keep a 51% majority stake. To justify holding that majority, they promised the government that 60% of their turnover would go directly to domestic development, with another 10% dedicated to exports. In the 1980s, the company faced a new threat from the ground up: Nirma, a local washing powder that quickly captured the Indian mass market. Hindustan Lever responded by launching a dirt-cheap detergent called HUL, aggressively targeting rural areas with affordable packaging to fight in the trenches of the mass market. Then came 1991. The Indian government enacted sweeping economic liberalization policies, stripping away decades of foreign business hurdles and opening the floodgates for expansion. The company used this newfound freedom to absorb its biggest competitors, launching a massive acquisition spree to buy legacy Indian brands like Tata Oil Mills, Lakme, and eventually GSK's Horlicks. By buying out beloved indigenous brands, the company became a corporate Frankenstein, achieving total cultural camouflage by wearing the faces of its former local competitors. Operating at this massive scale eventually triggered severe public scrutiny, exposing devastating corporate blind spots. In 2001, at a thermometer factory in the hill station of Kodaikanal, the company was caught dumping toxic mercury waste. The pollution caused severe neurological damage to their own workers and poisoned the local environment. It took intense public protests and a 15-year legal battle before the company was forced to close the factory and compensate the victims. In 2020, global social movements forced the company to address the racist undertones of their best-selling cream, renaming Fair and Lovely to Glow and Lovely. Despite these public relations disasters and legal battles, the company's financial momentum continued, reaching a valuation of over 7 trillion rupees by 2024. Hindustan Unilever achieved this dominance through extreme adaptability. They proved that global conglomerates win by allowing the local market to completely rewrite their corporate identity.